Hey there, coin collectors and history buffs. Today, we're diving deep into the world of the 1-cent coin. But not just any penny. Today we're focusing on the 2001 1-cent coin. It's one that might seem unremarkable at first glance, but it carries a fascinating history, some surprising facts, and believe it or not, potential value that's higher than you'd expect. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who just stumbles upon pennies from time to time, stick around, because the 2001 penny is far more interesting than you might think. Before we focus on the 2001 penny, let's take a quick trip back in time to understand where the 1-cent coin comes from. The US 1-cent coin has a long and storied history that dates back to 1793, when it was first minted. The initial designs were much larger than the pennies we know today, and they bore a much more intricate design featuring Lady Liberty and a variety of symbols. Over time, the design of the 1-cent coin evolved, moving through various versions including the Flying Eagle cent in 1856, the Indian Head cent in 1859, and the well-known Lincoln cent introduced in 1909. The Lincoln cent, designed by Victor David Brenner, has been in circulation ever since. Fast forward to 1982, when the US Mint made a significant change to the penny. It switched from using 95% copper and 5% zinc to a composition of 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper. This was due to the rising cost of copper, and it remains the standard today. Now let's zoom in on the subject of today's video, the 2001 1-cent coin. The D on the coin signifies that it was minted at the Denver Mint, which has been producing coins since 1906. The 2001 penny features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and the reverse design includes the iconic Union Shield, which has been in place since 2010. Unlike some years that saw changes in design or special editions, the 2001 penny didn't feature any significant redesigns, and it was struck in enormous quantities. In fact, the US Mint produced over 5 billion 1-cent coins in 2001, making this one of the highest mintage years in US history. So, what's the value of a 2001 penny? Well, if you're holding one right now, don't expect it to be worth much more than its face value, 1 cent. After all, it's not a rare coin, and millions of these pennies are still in circulation today. In fact, the 2001 penny is one of the most commonly found coins in the US economy, and at its core, it serves the same purpose as any other penny, to be used in small transactions, like buying a candy bar or helping with loose change. But that doesn't mean it isn't interesting. Just like other common coins, it has potential for higher value depending on its condition and where it's found. The value of the 2001 penny, like any coin, can vary depending on its condition, rarity, and whether it has any special characteristics. Let's break down the key factors that determine its value. First, we have the condition. The most basic grading system for coins is the scale from poor to mint state. A typical 2001 penny in circulated condition will generally only be worth its face value, 1 cent. However, if you're lucky enough to find a 2001 penny in uncirculated condition, it could be worth a little more, perhaps around 10 to 20 cents, depending on demand and the grade. Coins that are graded MS65 or higher, meaning they're in nearly perfect condition, are more valuable. A coin in this grade can fetch between 50 cents to $1, which may not sound like much, but it's a decent premium for such a common coin. However, once you reach a grade of MS67 or higher, the value could be several dollars. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. While the 2001 penny is not particularly rare, there are instances where collectors have found varieties and errors that can make a specific coin much more valuable. Although the 2001 penny doesn't have as many known varieties as some other years, it's still important to be on the lookout for unusual features. One example is a potential double die error. A double die error happens when a coin is struck multiple times with the die in slightly different positions. This causes the design to appear doubled in certain areas. While there are no famous examples of this error on the 2001 penny, you may come across a coin with a slight doubling on the lettering or Lincoln's portrait. These kinds of errors can sometimes increase a penny's value by several dollars. Another possible error involves die cracks or other unusual minting defects. These kinds of flaws can make a coin highly collectible, particularly if they are rare or unique. Even though the 2001 penny may not be worth a fortune, it's still a significant part of the U.S. economy. The United States Mint continues to produce billions of pennies every year, and they remain a staple in everyday transactions. Despite debates over whether or not we should continue minting pennies, they're still very much a part of the currency landscape. As of today, there are over 150 billion pennies in circulation. But here's a fun fact. While pennies are still in circulation, the cost of producing them has continued to rise. In fact, the cost of making a penny is greater than its face value. In 2023, it cost approximately 2.1 cents to produce one penny, which means the US government loses money every time it mints a penny. Will the penny survive in the long term? With the rise of digital payments, contactless cards, and smartphones, the use of physical coins, especially pennies, is declining. Some people argue that the penny should be phased out, just like Canada did in 2012. But as of now, pennies are still here, and despite their low value, they continue to circulate in large numbers. A close-up of a 2001 penny resting on a table, with a hand carefully inspecting it. So there you have it, the history, value, and potential worth of the 2001 1-cent coin. While this penny may not make you rich, it's still a small but important piece of US currency. Whether you find it in your pocket or in a roll at the bank, take a moment to appreciate the history behind it. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of coins, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more coin-related content, and leave a comment telling us if you've ever found a rare penny or discovered something interesting about your own collection. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Before we jump into the details of the 1996 penny, let's first look at the history of the 1-cent coin itself. The US 1-cent coin, also known as the penny, has been in circulation since 1793. Back then, the penny was much larger, made of solid copper, and had intricate designs that reflected the nation's growing sense of identity. The original design, the large cent, was replaced several times throughout the years as the U.S. Mint sought to create a more efficient and functional coin. The Flying Eagle cent debuted in 1856, followed by the Indian head cent in 1859. But it was in 1909 that one of the most iconic designs in U.S. history was introduced, the Lincoln cent, which we still see today. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln cent featured the profile of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has remained with us for over a century. In fact, the Lincoln cent has undergone only a few significant design changes since then. In 1959, to mark Lincoln's 150th birthday, the reverse of the coin was changed from the original wheat stalks to the Lincoln Memorial. In 2009, the coin saw a special design series to celebrate the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth. Now, let's focus on the 1996 1-cent coin. The D Mint mark tells us that this penny was struck at the Denver Mint, which is one of the two primary locations where U.S. coins are produced, the other being the Philadelphia Mint. The 1996 penny features the classic obverse design of Abraham Lincoln's bust, with the inscription Liberty and the date 1996 around it. On the reverse, we see the iconic Lincoln Memorial, which was the reverse design from 1959 to 2008. By 1996, the design of the penny had been stable for decades, and the composition had been switched from solid copper to a copper-plated zinc alloy in 1982. The 1996 penny is no different. Just like most pennies from that era, it's made of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper. But what makes the 1996 penny particularly interesting is its place in the context of the overall coinage system at the time. In 1996, the U.S. Mint produced over 5.5 billion pennies across all mint locations, with nearly 4.5 billion of those being struck at the Denver Mint. This makes the 1990 60 penny one of the most common and abundant coins from that year. In fact, it's one of the largest mintage numbers for a 1-cent coin in the 1990s. Despite its massive mintage, the 1990 60 penny continues to be a regular part of daily life, helping with small purchases and rounding out transactions. But while most of these pennies circulate as everyday change, not all are equal. The real value of the 1990 60 penny depends on its condition and any potential unique features it may have. So, what's the value of the 1990 60 penny? Well, for most people, the answer is straightforward. It's worth exactly 1 cent. In circulated condition, this penny doesn't fetch anything more than its face value, as there are so many of them in circulation. One important thing to note is that the 1990 60 penny, like many other coins, could have slight variations in its strike or surface that make it more valuable to collectors. However, since the 1990 60 penny isn't known for any major minting errors or unique features, it's not considered a coin that would break the bank. One of the most common types of errors found on pennies is the double die error, which occurs when a coin is struck more than once by the die, causing part of the design to appear doubled. If you come across a 1990 60 penny with noticeable doubling in the lettering or Lincoln's portrait, you might have found a coin worth more than just a few cents. However, these kinds of errors are rare on the 1990 60 penny, so don't expect to find one easily. Another potential error could be a die crack, which occurs when the die used to strike the coin becomes damaged, causing a crack to appear on the coin's surface. These die cracks can sometimes create a unique visual effect, and some collectors are willing to pay a premium for such coins. While there's no well-known die crack variety on the 1990 60 penny, it's always worth inspecting your coins closely. Even though the 1990 60 penny may not be worth a lot on its own, it's part of a larger trend. Pennies, especially from the late 20th century, make up a significant portion of the coins still circulating today. With billions of pennies produced and millions still in circulation, the penny continues to be an essential piece of American currency. Although the penny has long been a source of debate, should it stay or should it go, it still plays a crucial role in small transactions and in rounding prices. While many countries have phased out their lowest value coins, the US has yet to make such a decision. For now, the 1990 60 penny, like all pennies, remains a vital part of everyday life. So there you have it, the history, value, and potential worth of the 1990 60 1-cent coin. While it may not be a rare treasure, it's still an important part of US coinage. Whether you find it in your change or already have it tucked away in your collection, it's a reminder of our past and an enduring piece of American history. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1990 60 penny, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more coin-related content, and leave a comment below telling us about your favorite penny or any other coins you'd like to learn more about. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Our story begins back in 1792, when the United States Mint was established, and the U.S. Congress authorized the creation of a national currency. The very first 1-cent coin, known as the large cent, was introduced in 1793. This early coin was much larger than today's penny and bore the image of Lady Liberty. However, the design quickly became impractical. Larger coins were costly to produce, and the size made them difficult to use in everyday transactions. In 1856, the Mint introduced a smaller, more practical design, the Flying Eagle cent, which depicted an eagle in flight. This coin was eventually replaced by the Indian head cent in 1859, which featured a profile of Liberty wearing a Native American headdress. The Indian head cent was minted until 1909, and this was the year when the famous Lincoln cent was introduced. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation for more than a century, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Initially, it featured a bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and a wheat design on the reverse. In 1959, to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the reverse was changed to feature 2 ears of wheat, a design that would last until 2008. In 2009, to celebrate Lincoln's bicentennial, the Mint released a series of special reverse designs, featuring key moments in Lincoln's life. But since then, the standard Union Shield design has been in circulation, and that's what we see today. Okay, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What's the actual value of the 1-cent coin? Well, we all know that a penny today doesn't buy much. In fact, due to inflation, the purchasing power of the penny has dramatically decreased over the decades. In 1900, a penny could buy you a loaf of bread. Today, it's barely enough to buy a gumball or a single piece of candy. But what about the actual cost of producing a penny? You might be surprised to learn that the cost of manufacturing a penny actually exceeds its face value. According to recent reports from the US Mint, it costs around 2.1 cents to produce a single 1-cent coin. This means that for every penny the Mint creates, the government loses money. So, why do we still have pennies in circulation? Despite the rising production costs, pennies continue to be minted due to tradition and the logistics of rounding prices. In fact, millions of pennies are produced every year, with billions of them currently in circulation. Now, here's where things get really interesting. While a regular penny might not be worth much in everyday transactions, certain rare pennies can be worth a lot more than their face value. Over the years, collectors have found that some pennies have extraordinary value due to errors in minting, rarity, and historical significance. Take the 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent, for example. This rare penny, which was minted in San Francisco, can fetch anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 or more depending on its condition. The VDB mark on the reverse stands for Victor David Brenner, the designer of the coin, and due to a public outcry, the Mint quickly removed the initials from future coins, making this version extremely rare. Another highly sought-after penny is the 1955 double-die obverse Lincoln cent. This penny was struck with a double image on the obverse, causing Lincoln's face and the date to appear blurry and doubled. Only a few thousand of these pennies were ever produced, making them highly valuable. Depending on its condition, it can be worth upwards of $10,000. And then there's the famous 1943 copper penny. During World War II, the US government switched to producing pennies from steel to save copper for the war effort. But a few copper pennies were mistakenly struck in 1943, and today, they're worth a small fortune, sometimes over $1 million. So, what's the future of the 1-cent coin? Well, it's a subject of much debate. With the rise of digital payments and credit cards, the demand for physical coins, especially pennies, has been declining. Some people argue that we should just eliminate the penny altogether. In fact, other countries like Canada and the UK have already phased out their lowest value coins. However, eliminating the penny isn't as simple as it sounds. For many people, especially in lower-income communities, the penny still holds value. Plus, pennies continue to be an important part of the U.S. Treasury's reserve of coins. Whether or not they'll survive in the long term is still up for debate, but for now, they remain a staple of American currency. So, whether you're holding on to that 1-cent coin as a collector's item or simply tossing it into a jar, remember that this little coin has a long and storied history. From its origins to its potential value, the penny is more than just small change. It's a symbol of America's past, present, and future. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history and value of the 1-cent coin, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another fascinating exploration into the world of money. And hey, next time you find a penny on the ground, you might just want to give it a second glance.